Take a trip around the curve. Olivier Award winners Sarah Snook and Nicole Scherzinger took home top prizes for Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray and Andrew Lloyd Webber's Sunset Boulevard, respectively. The Writers Guild Awards are taking place today and simultaneously in LA and New York. In the first award of the night, Corey Jefferson won for American Fiction. Google's decision to begin censoring news stories in California, objection to the pending California Preservation Act, are harshly blasted by the Media Guild of the West. New York production vets expect IATSE strike to threaten hamper TV shoots before it rebounds in 2025. Law & Order Organized Crime mulls a move to Peacock Night Court. Lopez vs. Lopez and Extended Family are awaiting renewals. Justin Lin is set to direct Stay Course for Amazon MGM Studios. And a Chris Farley biopic package is heating up the market with Paul Walter Hauser tapped to play the legendary comic with Josh Gad directing. Apple Original Films lands a Cannes Film Festival documentary selection Bread and Roses, and the 40th annual Santa Barbara International Film Festival is taking place on February 14th through the 15th in 2025. Mark Maron joins Owen Wilson in the Apple Golf comedy series, and sci-fi novel Sublimination lands at Universal International Studios for a TV adaptation. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is launching a 2 non-fiction series at Netflix featuring cooking, gardening, and professional polo. Lorenzo di Bonaventura extends his producing deal with Paramount. Glenn Powell is set to star in The Running Man for Paramount with Edgar Wright directing. The Gotham Film and Media Institute are launching its inaugural Gotham TV Awards recognizing breakthrough shows. It will start June 4th in New York City. Submissions open April 15th. The Peabody Awards and Center for Media and Social Impact launches a new broadcast with interviews featuring Quinta Brunson, Pamela Adlon, Charlie Brooker, and more. Vilo Ventimiglia signs with WMA, and CAA makes layoffs in global TV division and centralizes operations to the U.S. and U.K. Anna Simone Randall Park joined the 20th Century Studios thriller Eeny Meeny, and Amazon Prime makes its first Arabic TV series acquisition with Beirut said dramedy Self-Modulation. The Night Manager returns with supercharged double season over at ABC, and the Cannes Film Festival competition includes Coppola, Audiard, Cronenberg, Arnold, Lanthimos, Sorrentino, and Abbasi's Trump movie. The Present, starring Isla Fisher and Greg Kinnear, is coming to UK cinemas this May. This week at CinemaCon, Paramount board members stepped down as Lionsgate laid out its franchise plans at the festival. Melrose Place is a reboot that's happening starring Heather Locklear, Laura Leighton, and Daphne Zuniga in the works. Barco, the global leader in cinema laser projection technology, will bring HDR by Barco to cinemas at AMC, B&B Theaters, and Regal just in time for the 2024 holiday season. A Heroes reboot is in the works from series creator Tim Kring. Candyman director Nia DaCosta is in talks to direct 28 Years Later Part 2 for Sony Pictures. Jurassic World's Daniela Pineda among those joining Ben Affleck in Accountant 2 from MGM, Amazon Studios, and Artist Equity. Norman Reedus is going to have a busy year. The second season of The Walking Dead spinoff series Daryl Dixon and the Book of Carol looks to set a debut this summer. The Oscars, the 97th Oscars, will take place on Sunday, March 2nd, 2025. Michael Gandolfini, Noah Centineo, Henrik Zaga, Taylor John Smith, and Adrian Brady join Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland's Warfare at 8:24. Apple's new dramedy Land of Women starring Eva Longoria premieres June 26 on Apple TV+. Anthony Hopkins is set to play King Herod alongside newcomer Noah Cohen in the biblical thriller Mary. Franklin star Noah Jupe is leading a TV adaptation of Sebastian Falk's Ingleby, and Ernie Hudson is set to star in the horror title Oswald, Down the Rabbit Hole. John Amiel is set to direct the Saudi oil discovery saga Sands of Fortune for Passage Pictures. Netflix strikes an overall deal with Colombian duo behind the hijacking of Flight 601, and Hollywood Guilds come out strong for ethical and transparent AI bill from Adam Schiff. 911 adds Malcolm Jamal Warner as an upcoming guest star. Tom Payne signs with Independent Artists Group, and Jonah Hill's Outcome adds 6 to the cast. Artist Equity Board's Kiss of the Spider-Woman adaptation starring Jennifer Lopez, Diego Luna, and Totonia to co-star. Colin Farrell is set to star in Edward Berger's The Ballad of a Small Player for Netflix. Julianne Moore joins James McAvoy in the action thriller Control. Omar Benson Miller is the latest to join Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan's thriller. Sue Nagel and Ali Krug sign an overall deal at UCP. Renee Zellweger, Hugh Grant, and Emma Thompson are set to return for Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Leo Woodall are also set for that cast. Kat Dennings is set to star with Tim Allen in an ABC comedy pilot, Shifting Gears. George Lucas is to receive the honorary Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival this year. Simon Rex joins Rose Byrne, Octavia Spencer, Ariana DeBose, Dominic Sessa, and Demi Lovato in tow. Paul Bettany is to star opposite Will Sharp in the Sky Limited series Amadeus. Matthew Kasovitz is set to direct his first movie in more than a decade with a live-action animation hybrid, The Big War. And the Academy of Country Music Award nominations include Luke Holmes leading with 8, Morgan Wallen and Megan Moroney nabbed 6 each. Dash Pictures is making The King of All Kinds with Matthew Lorenzo and Sky. Melissa Fumero and Anna Sophia Robb and Ben Rappaport are set to star in Grosse Pointe Garden Society, the NBC pilot. Jamie Lawson boards Ryan Coogler's thriller starring Michael B. Jordan for Warner Brothers. Also in new news, Michael Pena is in the news again with David Harbour, Jason Fleming, and Ariana Rivas joining Jason Statham and David Ayer's Sylvester Stallone scripted action movie Levin's Trade for Amazon MGM, who has set a release date. Earth Abides. Ozark's Jessica Francis Dukes joins Alexander Ludwig in the MGM Plus limited series. And today on The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, we are talking about all things Civil War. Yes, baby, I went to see that epic film, and I got some things to say. I'm also going to give you a little recap and insight into Ebertfest and my recap of CinemaCon, as well as some heads up for the 15th annual Turner Classic Film Festival going down in Hollywood. All coming up next on The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, right now.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
This is Carla Renata, aka The Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
Let's take a trip around the curve. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I am your host, Carla Renata, and I'm so happy to be back with you. I'm sorry I'm a few hours late today, but I'm about to explain to you why as soon as you watch this. I have a little short video that I did explaining where I was, and then I'll explain even more. But I'm also showing you some clips of CinemaCon. So here we go.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
This is Carla Renata, aka The Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip. Love, peace, and hair grease. Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
We can just get but I think for Wicked, there's a difference.
Let's take a trip around the curve.
Wicked, but Wicked did have, when we say it, really had a real impact to me.
So those are just a few of the images from CinemaCon 2024. So for those of you who don't know what CinemaCon is, kind of like Comic Con, but for movie theater exhibitors, box office owners, and box office distributors. That's what it is. And they sell everything from, like, theater seats. There are people that own really small theaters throughout the country that come there, and they all try to get together to figure out what's going to be the best way to serve the cinematic community and get people back into the theaters to watch their films. So that's what CinemaCon is. I just want to give you a real brief overview of it. But before I get into that, let me welcome my boy Brandon. And you know what, Brandon been giving Brandon been giving me updates about what's going on at CinemaCon. I was there, but I'm gonna read what you said anyway. You said it was great this year. Were you there, Brandon? I think, were you, because you know a lot about it for somebody that wasn't there. You said they showed a lot of stuff, including Transformers One. You heard that that Transformers One looked fantastic, and they showed off stuff from Inside Out 2, Moana 2, Despicable Me 4, The Wild Robot. What else did you say? I think you said something else, and you said they also showed Sonic 3. So hello, and I also want to give a big shout out to Francisco Garcia. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you so much. So yes, Brandon, they did show clips from Transformers. Disney had the most footage that they showed. They showed 75 minutes of trailers and exclusive featurettes from some of their slate. But the opening day, I just want to give an overview of what happened. So the overview is this: the first day, which was April 8th, was International Day, and basically what happened there is that they did panels for the international folks on things like cinema as a cutting edge technology, everything from that to changing tastes and changing landscapes. And then the president of NATO, the National Association of Theater, I forget what the O stands for, but it's not NATO like the government NATO. This NATO is definitely dealing with theaters. But then Warner Brothers later on that day, after they did the international thing, they followed up with a big, huge splash with a huge presentation and short clip from George Miller's Furiosa, which is part of the Mad Max franchise. And then Robert Pattinson joined Oscar winner Bong Joon-ho to show off his darkly comedic sci-fi film Mickey 17, based on the novel Mickey 7. Michael Keaton, Kevin Costner, Halle Berry, Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, and no, I'm missing one other person. They all made surprise appearances and talked about their films. They showed a little bit of a clip from Joker Folie à Deux, which is the sequel to Joker a few years back, which won Joaquin Phoenix his Academy Award. Angel Studios, which is a faith-based studio, they did a bunch of their films, including showing 10-minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they showed a bunch of their films, and then including 10 minutes of Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans's new movie called Red One. Lionsgate announced that Margot Robbie is set to produce the Monopoly movie. I guess she loved games and dolls, honey, because she done moved from Barbie to Monopoly. Henry Cavill showed up to talk about his film in the Gray, and he was honored at the award show as well. They also did a nice extended clip of Ballerina, which is a John Wick spinoff. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. It was hella good, and it's directed by Antoine Fuqua. And then we had lunch, and then after lunch, Brandon, came the extended clip from Illumination's Despicable Me 4. That was followed up by another extended peek of Glenn Powell chasing Twisters. And then Universal Blumhouse did a bunch of stuff. They also showed us an extended clip from a new film that they have coming out, which was it was super creepy. I can't tell you what it is, though. Yes, I can. It was called Nosferatu. It's the vampire movie. And then they literally took some green tulips and they put them in the cup holders all over the Colosseum and Caesar's Palace, and they turned green and they turned pink and they turned an array of colors as Jeff Goldblum, who's playing the wizard in Wicked, came out to introduce Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo Arrivo rather, who talked about the film, and we got to see some extensive footage from that. And y'all, you need to get ready for Wicked. Wicked is about to go down, but it's going to be in two parts. So the first part is going to drop this year, I think in time for Christmas, and then part two is going to drop next year around Thanksgiving, November 27th in 2025. Then they showed us a film, Babes. We got to see two films in their entirety. One was Babes, which is an Alana Glazer film with Michelle Buteau, the two of them starring. And it was kind of like, the best way to describe Babes is it's like kind of like Bridesmaids, but centered around babies. It was funny. And then the opening night on the 8th, they showed The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, which is hella great. If you guys have got to run to the theater to see that. David Leitch is the director, and it's like a love letter to the stunt community. Let's see, what else did they do? I'm trying to give y'all the highlights and not go too much into it. Searchlight Pictures came out and did a whole thing. And then Dwayne Johnson came out again to dance with some Hawaiian dancers to announce Moana 2 coming up. And he dropped this little tidbit of info. He said that the character that he plays in Moana, Maui, is inspired by his grandfather. His grandfather was the Hawaiian High Chief Peter Mavia. And it was really great. And I had a good time at CinemaCon. So that's what CinemaCon is. And that's all that. It was fantastic. Yeah, Jetty Mike, it was totally fantastic. It was the clips that they showed. Thank you for saying that. The clips that they showed and the films that we got to see, it was really quite stellar. What in terms of content that they showed, because I was at CinemaCon last year and it felt a little lackluster, for lack of a better way to say it, to me last year. But this year, honey, they made up for it. One of the other things I loved was Aziz Ansari came out and he did like a little mini stand-up routine where he was roasting the studios. It made me holler out loud. I said that Halle Berry was there, right? Yeah, Halle Berry was there. And then, and I talked about Disney. Oh, they also showed an extended clip. 20th Century Studios showed an extended clip of the new Planet of the Apes movie. That's going to be really good too. So stay tuned here. Now that I know when stuff is coming up and when it's coming out, I can give you a bigger heads up on what to see and how to see it. That's that. All right. So enough of that situation. So this week, y'all, two things are going down. Ebertfest is going down, and the is it the 15th? Yeah. The 25th celebration of Ebertfest and the 15th year celebration of the Turner Classic Movies. And then I'm going to get into Civil War because that's going to take a minute. But there's another comment. Who is this? Waiting for a rematch. Okay, wait. So let me tell you what Jetty Mike is talking about. So we were playing, Lionsgate had a reception after their presentation, and I talked him into playing pool with me, and I thought I was the last pool shark, honey. But yes, we definitely gonna have a rematch in pool for sure. And thank you for tuning in and making those comments about my podcast. I really do appreciate you. All right, so let me tell y'all. I guess I'll tell you about I'll tell you about Ebertfest first. So Ebertfest, what are you saying to me now? It was great meeting you too. It really was. It's always great to meet people in person, right? And not see them when you see them online all the time. You're like, "Ooh, I wonder what they're like in person." I'm pretty much what you see right here is the same person you saw in person, just a little more subdued, I would say, that those couple of days, because I was whooped. I was so tired from running around that casino, honey. Anywho, let's get back into Eberfest. So Eberfest, if you don't know who Roger Ebert is, Roger Ebert and Leonard Maltin were like the biggest film critics when I was growing up. They're the only ones that I ever saw. It was Roger Ebert, Gene Shalit, who was on the Today Show, and Leonard Maltin were the three guys that I saw reviewing movies. And so Roger Ebert in 1999 founded a festival at the University of Illinois, not at the University of Illinois, founded a festival to take place in Urbana-Champaign, Illinois, every April. And Roger Ebert was a graduate of the University of Illinois in the journalism school, and he was a Pulitzer Prize winning critic. And Ebertfest does something very similar to Turner Classic Movies. They celebrate films that haven't received the recognition they deserve during their original runs. And this festival gives these films and their filmmakers another well-deserved look. Roger passed away in 2013, and his influence on the festival continues, but it has now been taken over by his lovely and beautiful wife, who is the festival's co-founder, producer, and its host. So that is what Ebertfest is. And they have this bronze statue that sits right outside the Virginia Theater, which is where all the screenings for the Roger Ebert Festival take place. And it's very quaint and it's very intimate, and I really enjoy going. Chaz invited me a few years back, and now I've been invited back again, this time to moderate a panel on this film right here, The Best Man. I love this movie because a lot of people that I know, my peers and constituents like Regina Hall, Sanaa Lathan, Harold Perrineau, Tay Diggs. I just met Terrence Howard for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I just met Morris Chestnut not too long ago, and I've interviewed Nia Long a few times, but I'm so happy to be moderating a panel along with Nell Minow, to talk to Malcolm D. Lee about The Best Man. So I'm really excited about that. I'm equally excited to moderate a panel for Albany Road, a Christine Swanson film. So Christine Swanson, the lady on top there with the spiky hair, she is the director and the producer of this film. She is also the same person that brought you the Clark Sisters, the First Ladies of Gospel, which was the highest rated biopic on the Lifetime channel, and it starred Anjanou Ellis as the matriarch of that family. I'll be talking with Christine, Renee Goldsberry, who you guys know from Hamilton, and Lynn Whitfield, who you know from a plethora of things. Just so many shows. Queen Sugar, and is it Queen? I think it's Queen Sugar that she was on, and or was it the other show? I forget. Anyway, I remember her from the Josephine Baker Story, and I also remember her because she's a Howard University graduate, so I know her from that. But that's what's happening at Ebertfest, and then we're gonna switch gears and go over to the Turner Classic Film Festival, which is celebrating its 15th year. So let me give you a little insight into the Turner Classic Film Festival because it's celebrating 15 years. The opening night is going to be Pulp Fiction. And if you remember that, that's that Quentin Tarantino film with Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, where everybody got to see. That's where Samuel L. Jackson really got the reputation for cursing. Was from that movie, because he was MF this and MF that, and it all came from his character in this movie, which people love. And I believe him and John Travolta ended up getting Oscar nominations for their roles in that film. But who also is being honored, which I'm hella excited about, is this man right here, Mr. Billy D. Williams. And you know I love me some Billy D, because they are going to show a screening of what my favorite movie of all time, Lady Sings the Blues. Cannot wait for that. Cannot wait. And then they also, at the Turner Classic Film Festival, they also they're doing something new since Turner Classic Movies has been acquired by Warner Brothers. So this year they usually do a little thing with TCM, but this year, since Warner Brothers has acquired TCM, they're now going to do a studio tour of Warner Brothers and TCM. It's like a little combined thing. I'm really excited to attend that tomorrow. So I'll give you the skinny on that when I come back. And I also wanted to acknowledge this woman right here. Her name is Eleanor Coppola, and she is the matriarch of the Coppola family and the wife of over 50 years of Francis Ford Coppola, who brought us The Godfather. Y'all know I love my mob movies, and you know The Godfather is one of my favorite movies of all time. I had the pleasure of interviewing Miss Eleanor a couple of years ago during the pandemic. She was lovely. She's been a supporter ever since. And She's a wonderful filmmaker in her own right and a really wonderful, wonderful human being. And I would be remiss in not at least giving her a little love on my podcast today, since she was always so lovely and supportive of me. All right, so let me get into the Civil War action. So I've been hearing about this Civil War movie for a minute. I think some people saw it at TIFF, or maybe they saw it at Sundance. I forget which festival they saw it at. I never had a chance to see it then. I saw it when it got into its theatrical release and had some screenings here in LA. But it stars Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, and Kaylee Spaney. Now, if Kaylee Spaney's name sounds familiar to you, that's because we were talking about her last award season, because she played Priscilla in the movie Priscilla. She played Priscilla Presley in Priscilla. In this film, she plays a young photojournalist wanting to be a war photojournalist, and she's following up behind Lee, who's played by Kirsten Dunst, to try to get a lay of the land and figure out how to do this. This film is directed by Alex Garland and it's for A24. It's in theaters right now, so you can go see it right now. And it deals with like a dystopian future America where a team of military embedded journalists race against time to reach Washington, D.C. to get a quote from the president before rebel factions descend upon the White House. That's the overall scope of the film. The film has gotten a plethora of mixed reviews. This particular film, people either really, really love it or really, really hate it. This is my opinion of the film. The film is about an hour and 49 minutes long. It's really short. It's a short film. But when I tell you that first hour, I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. I was like, what is going on right now? It was so long. It took forever to get to the point. Once it got to the point, I was kind of all in, but it took a minute to get there. And it basically deals with, when I use the word dystopian, what I mean by that is talking about a world in which a certain presidential candidate, if he could do away with the Constitution and incite civil unrest in our country in the name of law and order, what that kind of world would look like. This is what that film spells out for you. A world where you're killing folks because they're not American or because they weren't born in America. A world where journalists are seen as the enemy. A world where the military is fighting against real people who think they're the military. Like it's a lot going on in this film, and if nothing else, it'll make you think. But one thing that I really appreciated about it is that Kirsten's character's name is Lee. I saw a film with Kate Winslet over the summer called Lee, based on a war photojournalist named Lee Miller. She was the first woman to ever be a photojournalist during wartime and was never really given her due. So I love the fact that they named this character, kind of sort of named this character after her, because it kind of subliminally gives Lee Miller her due. Kirsten Dunst, you haven't seen Kirsten Dunst in a film looking the way that she looks. She's not glammed up. She's wearing, fatigue-ish type of clothes, and she's running around with a camera and some work boots. And the same goes for Kaylee Spaney. But baby, there's a couple of times that you're gonna jump, and Jesse Plemons is to thank for that. I'm not even gonna go into why you're gonna jump, but Jesse Plemons is to thank for that. Warner Mora plays Joel, Lee's partner in crime in this film, and he's wonderful. What I didn't particularly like about what they did with his character is they always had him drunk on vodka. But then again, I guess if you're living in a world where it's coming to an end every day, you probably would be living on vodka and drinking it like it's water. So I can't fault him for that. It's beautifully shot. There is one scene that I don't want to give it away if you're going to see it. There's a scene that involves some bodies, and the way that it is shot is beautiful in the most morbid way possible, if that makes any sense. But I'm one of those people that I'm conflicted about Civil War, because we're basically living that in this moment. We're on the verge of possibly having a civil war, depending on how our election turns out. So I'm kind of, I feel some kind of way about that, but it is what it is. But you know, go see it for yourself. If nothing else, this film will incite a plethora of different discussions and get people talking instead of being on the internet and, you know, popping off on folks on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So that's a good thing. So that is Civil War. This is the poster from it so that you can see it. And you see how they have the little, if you look really closely, you can see the little people looking like they're on top of a building with guns peering down, and that is happening for the majority of that film in real time. A couple of weeks ago, I told y'all I was gonna give you this interview with some people from the producers and the directors of Girl State, and I forgot to show you I showed you the producer and the directors from Girl State, but I didn't show you the girls. So here's an interview that I did with the girls that are featured in Girl State, which is streaming right now. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
I'm so excited to talk to you that I wore this just for you guys today.
That's cute.
Ta-da! So I want to tell you that I'm from Missouri too. I grew up in St. Louis, and my mother and father were born and raised there. So yay, St. Louis. I went to Rittner Senior High School, and my god sisters live in Florissant. My dad lives in Creve Coeur, so I am Missouri all the way through and through. I know that Roe v. Wade was a huge part of the contention during Girl State, right? And it was overturned right after the film finished shooting, and it was a hot button topic while you guys were shooting. I would like to know, especially since in the last few weeks, France has made it a constitutional right and has become the first country to do that. I want to know now how you guys feel about it after all this time, because I'm sure the film was, you know, completed quite some time ago, and you felt that way then, and your thoughts may have not changed between then and now, but I just wanted to get an earmark on that.
Yeah, so I was the judge in the film that made the original decision that was then upheld by the Supreme Court, which did kind of support a woman's right to an abortion. So at the time when Dobbs v. Jackson came out, it was a little disheartening. It felt a little bit like I was in this fantasy world where only women were making decisions, and that was completely unattainable. It was what the real world decided I could do with my body was completely up to men. But since then, since reflecting more on Girl State and since reading more about the news and how the issues continued to play out, it's kind of made me more passionate about doing what I'm doing and speaking out. And I want to get to that kind of, obviously it'll never really happen, but I want to get closer to that kind of world at Girl State where it was women talking about what affects us and having more of that say in government.
Well, don't say it'll never really happen. It already happened with y'all. It happened with y'all. So that is already a possibility in a reality because it happened with y'all. Cece, tell me what your thoughts are.
I think it's just kind of scary, you know? Like, just kind of the idea that we're losing rights, that I don't have say over my body. I mean, it's terrifying. And I think that's kind of something that never really goes away. I think it's going to continue being debated, and I hope that, you know, I would like a privacy amendment, you know, something that protects abortion, interracial marriage, all that stuff. And I think it's something that should have happened a long time ago, and I hope to live long enough to see it happen.
And by the way, your little speech was fire, honey. I was like, you had me fired up, and I wasn't even in the room. I was like, well, okay then. All right. That's for you. Yes.
Thank you.
Emily, how do you feel like, as a journalist, how do you feel that the media is handling this political landscape in regards to that issue?
I think that a lot of times the media kind of misses those and generalizes a population, generalizes conservatives as a whole for all being pro-life or liberals for all being entirely pro-choice and almost like pro-abortion. And I think that that's an issue. We need to look at what people as individuals believe. And I think that with lawmaking too, we need to focus more on those laws that protect not only the unborn, but also those who are facing challenges with the pregnancy.
Thank you for that. And listen, let me tell y'all something. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion and it being different. That's what makes you unique and makes you an individual. We live in America, and the thing about living in America right now is that you have the right to be an individual and say what you want to say and not have it be villainized. So you're entitled to your opinion, regardless of what it is. You know what I mean? So girls, stick to your guns. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. Don't let somebody else change your opinion because it's not the popular opinion. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes,
Girl, don't be calling me yes, ma'am. That make me feel old.
yes, miss.
All right, Faith, I want you to weigh in on this last and not least.
Sure. So the political leak of the overturn of Roe vs. Wade to me was interesting from more of a law perspective. I didn't know, and I still don't know if I agree from strictly law if it should have been overturned or not. I'm leaning towards it should have been overturned because it is such a large issue with federalism and the ability for states to make their own decisions. What was incredibly disappointing was Missouri's trigger law that took place, immediately after its official overturn, and how that was going to affect both myself and people I loved and everybody, within Missouri who was able to give birth. And so I don't know, it was hard. It was somewhat looming over the program, but I think I also tried to forget about it. I think that I was able to reflect upon the experiences I had within the program, being with an all-women's government, and how important that was when the official decision was out.
So speaking about being in an all-women's government, I remember during the doc that there was, I think y'all were a little shocked. I was shocked that there was such a huge differentiation between boy state and girl state. Like y'all were being told what you could and couldn't wear, and that you couldn't go somewhere by yourself. And the boys were being not lauded and applauded, but they were just being treated differently, i.e. the big ceremony that they had for the governor. And I remember at one point, one of the girls was like, we didn't get that. We didn't get that when we elected our governor. How do y'all feel about that glaring difference, even at boys and girls state, the glaring difference between men and women in the political landscape?
I was more concerned with, I noticed like the fiscal inequalities and the fact that I felt like they were really talking about politics earlier on than us. And I think those were almost facilitated conversations too. Like, it's like, here, this is your time to like actually talk about these issues. And that was really annoying to me because when I went into Girls State, I thought it would be like that. And so as I did some digging, I saw how fiscally unequal it was. And it's really, I think that's like one of the things that, if anything, is a fact that is keeping women down. I think that there's this idea that as women, we are less advantaged, which could be somewhat true, but that's the reason why. I mean, if they're giving them a ton more money, which obviously they're funded by two different Legion Auxiliary versus the Legion, so that's where the funding differences come, which I learned, but it's still discouraging, and I hope that we can work to see that be fixed in the future.
Thank you for that answer. Before I go, I want to tell each and every one of you how incredibly proud and excited I am that we have you ladies in the landscape at this time in America. Is so very important. I'm glad that you all have the opportunities that I did not have growing up to be able to speak out and show out on things that you believe in, and have that wherewithal to not back down if that's what you feel is right. And in the state of Missouri, differences in opinions are embraced. We have Josh Hawley as a senator. We have Congresswoman Cori Bush representing both sides of the opinion in one state. So having said that, thank you, Emily. Thank you, Faith. Thank you, Cece. Thank you, Nisha. I appreciate you. I adore you all. And I'm so excited for what your futures hold.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I meant what I said. It's really wonderful to see young women like themselves from all different varied nationalities and backgrounds and ideals to be able to come together and navigate in the political space and landscape like they did in Girls State. So if you have not seen Girls State or Boys State, directed and produced by Amanda and Jesse, please make your way over to Apple TV Plus and screen that there. Make your way to the theaters to see Civil War. If you are in Los Angeles, make your way over to the TCM Classic Film Festival this week. You can get tickets online, and here is where you can get the tickets from. I'm going to put it up real quick. So if you want to get tickets for the Turner Classic Film Festival, go to that link right there, and that should take you to the site to tell you whether you can get tickets a la carte and or get a pass. If you want to see, if you're in the Chicago area or close to Champaign, Illinois, this is where you would go to get tickets to Ebertfest. And I don't think that will be a problem. Although, because they are celebrating 25 years, you may be a little hard pressed. And plus, I'll be there. So if you're there, please come and say hello to me. If you're at the Turner Classic Film Festival, I will be on the red carpet opening night. Come and holler at your girl there. And then all of my reviews that I write and or the films that I talk about here on this site, on this podcast rather, can be seen at that website right there, www.thecurvyfilmcritic.com, www.thecurvyfilmcritic.com. Also, if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel and give me a big thumbs up to let me know you were here. I don't know you were here if you don't give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, give me a big thumbs up if you were on YouTube. If you're watching this via LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, please, tell folks, do the same. That's how I roll. I will be back next week. I may tape it because I will be doing those panels at Ebertfest, like I said. But I want to tell you that when I come back, I'm going to talk about these 3 films, and I'm going to have the cast of The Greatest Hits. I talked about The Greatest Hits a little while ago. It's streaming on Hulu right now, but I'll have the cast, and we're going to talk about their film. I'm also going to talk about Rebel Moon 2. I talked about the first Rebel Moon, but now we getting ready to get into Rebel Moon 2, y'all, and it is going to be streaming on Netflix. I'm also going to talk about Zendaya's latest movie, Challengers. And I saw this really cool documentary called Orlando Bloom to the Edge. I'm going to talk about that as well. And I will have the written review, like I said, of that film up at my site, thecurvyfilmcritic.com. I will always have the sites up, thecurvyfilmcritic.com. Let me go back into my chat room and thank Jetty Mike 7. Thank you, my brother. Thank Brandon and thank Francisco Garcia for popping through and hollering at a sister. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate all of the support that you guys give me along the way. And I love that you come here and say hello to me and talk to me in the chat. It's one of my favorite things. All right. So y'all, it is 7:45 on the West Coast. I'm about to go get me some grubby grub. I'm starving because, I didn't tell you about, let me tell you one other thing. So earlier this afternoon, the reason why I was so late is because I went to a thing called Women on the Rise. It was produced by Hillman Grad Productions, which is Lena Waithe's company. And they had they had 4 women there that they were talking to about their journeys in the industry as very strong, powerful women. And the whole conversation was moderated by Miss Debbie Allen. And at the end of it, they gave her the original program from her first Broadway show, Pearlie. And then they also had her commencement program from when she graduated from Howard University framed. It was really beautiful and really, really lovely. There's a little sneak peek of it in the video that I showed at the beginning of this broadcast, but it was really wonderful. If you're not familiar with Lena Waithe was the first Black woman to win an Emmy for writing a comedy. I believe it was writing a comedy. And she is paving the way. My girl Dee Smith was on the panel. She wrote Kokomo City. She said some things. I'm going to write an article up about what they said this afternoon because I think it's important to share that information because it was very powerful what they said. JoJo from 20s, another show that Lena created, was there. Gia Peppers, who was nominated for NAACP for her show, she was there introducing all of the ladies. And A.V. Rockwell, who wrote and produced and directed 1001 starring Tiana Taylor earlier this year. She was there. These ladies are powerful. They're great. If you have not seen any of their work, please look them up and see their work because they are stellar. And we need more women of color behind the scenes doing great things like them. All right. So now I really am, I really am going to go eat because I'm hungry. But thank you so much for popping through and saying hello. And again, give me a big thumbs up. Click the bell for notifications down below. Subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next week. Love, peace, and hair grease. Deuces. Bye.